Good morning, beautiful married couples. Today I want to talk about dating. Dating is a fun topic, and so I wanted to have a lovely live today for a more uplifting kind of fun topic tonight or today. So again, I want to talk about dating. We hear it all the time. You should continue to date your spouse. You should continue to date your spouse, but let's be honest, a lot of couples allow that to slip. And so again, today I just want to give a few tips about things that can help you overcome maybe if you have reasons that you don't do date night. I want to give some ideas and throw out some ideas and maybe even hear some ideas from you all and talk about why date nights are important when it comes to married couples. So let's start there. Let's start with why dating is important. Number one, it helps couples to stay connected. We know that when people get married, oftentimes they really do get caught up in what I call everyday life, meaning they go to work, especially if children are involved, they become parents, and there a lot of times the focus shifts to parenting. And so what dating does is allows that focus to get back to you guys as a couple. It allows you to reconnect and talk about things that happen throughout your day, or talk about the things that you want to do in the future and your goals and who you've become. Because the thing is about marriage is we don't stay the same. Once we get married, we begin to change over the course of time, and so that allows us to stay connected, and so we don't lose. Oftentimes, couples will come in and they will say, we don't know each other anymore, or we've drifted apart. It's because they haven't spent that time dedicated to reconnecting, and so that's why dating is important. If you're joining, I see a couple people joining. If you're joining, let me know where you're watching from. And if you've had any great date ideas, drop them in the comments, because we're going to go there today and talk about some ideas. And maybe some other couples will be able to get some ideas from you guys, and you can get ideas from other couples. So again, it helps couples to stay connected. The other thing date nights or date days do, it increases the intimacy. And a lot of times when people hear intimacy, they only think sexual. But dating is not, or intimacy is not just sexual. Intimacy is also about connecting on a deeper level. And so once you've done that, the sexual part naturally typically happens. And so if you're struggling with sexual intimacy, date night is one of those things that can help you to spark the connection with the intimacy so that it can improve the sexual relationship as well. So that's also another benefit of date nights or date days. The other thing is it creates positive memories. And what do I mean? A lot of times when we're married, we often have, the bad moments where someone has hurt us or we've gotten angry with our spouse. But when we're having fun on date nights or date days, that begins to create those positive memories. So when time says, I want to give up, you can think back on, you know what, it's not all bad. I remember that time we did this specific thing, or I remember when we did this other thing. And so it's really cool to have those good memories to pull back on when things get tough and when you're struggling. Because, sometimes I tell people, you're going to hopefully always love your spouse, but there may be moments where you don't always like them. And so creating those positive memories will help you to fight through those times when you don't necessarily think they're your favorite person at that moment. The other thing is, let's talk about a couple guidelines of when you're going on dates. Number one, I would say try to do it on some type of regular or consistent basis. It's really easy for us to get caught up in life and forget, to prioritize our relationships. But if you have it on your schedule, you're much more likely to follow through with that date. It's much more likely. And the thing that happens, and I see it all the time, is you come in, and even if it's date night, you're tired from work, and you'll say, I'm tired. Your spouse will say they're tired, and so you decide to skip it. I would encourage you not to skip your date night. Keep it a priority. Even if you're tired, say, let's go ahead and go out anyways. Let's go ahead and make this happen. Why? Because number one, typically you're going to be rejuvenated as you're out there dating. But the other thing is that it's going to really, again, help you guys stay connected even through those tough times. So, remember to keep that, set a date and keep it. The other thing is, when you're on your dates, try not to talk about the bills, the kids, the problems in the relationship. Those conversations are very important. Those conversations are needed, and I encourage them. Not during your date time. Your date time is really the time for you guys to focus on you, focus on love, focus on getting connected with each other, and not focusing on problems. Because if they become a time when it's about the problems and the issues, then it becomes dreaded, and nobody wants to do that. So definitely begin to use use that date night not as a time to talk about problems, but a time to enjoy each other and have fun. Let your hair down and go dancing and do all that fun stuff that brought you guys together in the first place. The other thing is try to put your phone away. Why? We live in an age where everything is so tied to our phones, and I will look around sometimes going in a restaurant. I was in a restaurant last night, and I looked around, and so many people at tables together, all of them had their phones down. And so I tell you, put your phone away for just a minute and connect with your spouse. And you don't have to, I'm not saying you cannot have your phone out at all. What I'm saying is try not to have that phone be the focal point of your date. Put it away, even if you say, let's take a selfie before we get started and maybe one at the end of the night. But we're not going to have our date centered around our phones. We're going to have our date centered around us as a couple. So allow your spouse to get connected to you and put those phones down. The other thing is try to be really present, which goes right along with putting the phones down. Sometimes when we're dating, our mind is still on work or on other things, but really try to focus and be present with your spouse there for a minute. Dress nice for them, put on that special perfume or that cologne. Try to be present and intentional when you're going out with your spouse. Why? Because that makes them feel like they are a priority. No one wants to go out with someone they feel like they're just going out with them out of obligation. And so as your spouse, you want to make them still feel important, loved, and desired. That is so important when you're talking about improving that connection. That spouse still wants to feel like you desire them and you're putting effort into spending time with them. So some of the things that I often hear when you're talking about dating is, we don't have the time. We've got so much stuff to do. I don't have time to date. So I'm going to just throw out a couple of reasons that people don't continue their date nights and things that we can possibly do to help improve that. So the first thing is, again, we don't have the time. So what I would encourage you to do is maybe look at your lunch schedule. A lot of times the kids are in school during that time, and so typically people have an hour for lunch. Maybe take an extra hour and say, let's meet up around the corner from your job and let's have a lunch date. Now, those are still date times because it's still important. Maybe even on a weekend. I know a couple couples who have established Sunday morning as their date time, and they go out and they go coffee and they go and they just reconnect on Sunday morning. So find creative times that will work for you. Maybe again, when the children are in school, you can take a longer lunch break to surprise your spouse, or go to a park, or your favorite restaurant that's close to where you guys work or where one of you works. Those are some ideas. The other thing is, after the children are in bed, sometimes we forget. We can put our kids to bed whatever time we need to. So put them to bed and set up maybe a candlelit dinner, especially if your children are really young. And that's a lot of times when couples have young children, it's harder for them to get out. This is a great idea when you're struggling to have a babysitter. Maybe you're in a town where you don't have a lot of relatives or extended family that you would trust to keep your children. Wait till after bedtime, have a meal delivered, or you can already have dinner cooked, from the kids. Just eat that you had cooked for your children. But eat it by candlelight dinner, or have a little picnic in the living room. Be creative and make it fun. Also, game nights can be really fun, like just setting Uno or board games. Those things can be really fun, but again, they can be intentional and reconnect you guys together. What about money? What if we don't have a lot of money? And hey, I understand finances can definitely be an issue when you're talking about date nights. Dates don't have to be extravagant. Now, if you're balling and you want to go all out, I say go for it, have fun, live it up. But if you're struggling financially, or things are just tight and you just don't have a lot of extra money, look for free things. I live here in Georgia, so I love going to Kennesaw Mountain or Stone Mountain to climb mountains. That kind of stuff is really fun to me. You can do that and it doesn't cost you much. You can set up, again, little picnics and game nights. Those things don't cost much, and you're able to do those things and really have fun with your spouse. Think about when you were in college or in high school. You got creative with your dates. Even though finances were probably not your strong area, you were able to have fun because you got creative. And so don't lose that creativity just because money is an obstacle. Get creative and have some fun. Go to your local city website and see what are fun, free events in the city. Again, parks are really cool. You can go hiking and doing things outside. That can be really fun. Or even a craft, go and get some craft projects and do that kind of stuff. That can be really cool. What about, let's see. we don't necessarily like the same things, or you're not into the same things. So I tell people you can get a date night jar and both of you put ideas in. And if you can't decide, or if you struggle deciding on what to do, you pull out of the jar and both agree to have a positive attitude about whatever it is. And we're going to do what comes out of the jar. So that way both of you have an opportunity to try new things and different things that maybe you wouldn't normally give a chance to. Let's see. Another idea I have here is going to a local hotel. A lot of times we don't have the time to go on an extravagant vacation. We don't have that type of energy or time or resources. What I would say is get somebody to watch the kids just for the night if you can, and go to a local hotel just to get a change of scenery, but it can still feel very very fun, very spontaneous, and romantic at the same time. So there are a couple ideas there. If you have any comments or questions, I would love to hear them. If you have topics you'd like for me to cover, please let me know. Comment section, drop your most fun date nights, or some fun date nights that you and your spouse have had and how they've helped you. And so hopefully, again, other couples can get some ideas. It can be really fun. And what I would encourage you guys to do is to be intentional about dating your spouse. Let them know you still want them. Let them know that they are still desired and that you enjoy spending time with them. I hope this helped you. Thank you so much, and enjoy your day. Good night, or have a great day. Bye-bye.